You're listening to The Real Reason.
Greetings again, people. We're back again with another exciting episode of The Real Reason. And tonight, hosting the show is yours truly, QJ. We have our brother DJ Zeal.
Yo.
Our brother Oti.
Sanctified response.
Yeah, man. But we are glad to be here another time. And tonight, I want to kick it off, because to be honest, right now, I've been feeling a bit burnt out. So I want to talk about burnout tonight, burnout as it relates to just the general can't bother, and even though we are Christians, we have duties, we have our job, we have our family, sometimes we just feel like this thing too much, everything too much, you just want a break, so guys, you want to just step in and give your take on burnout before I go any further?
Burnout?
Yeah.
As in...
Like when they drive and burn out the tire, them kind of burn out there, or
like feeling,
like one of you burn out something. Is that? It's physical burnout.
Physical and mental. You just feel drained.
Yeah. Well, that's a part of life for everybody, I think. I think what and burnout happens, because just over the course of life, like repetition, and for example, if you're doing 9 to 5, and you're repeating the process over and over again, long hours without vacation and them thing there, you're bound to start feel very tired and weary, both mentally and physically, even if it's something that you love. Even when it's music, because sometimes even when it's not a 9 to 5, it's something that people think is less taxing, but repetition and just the amount of time that you have to give into it scars you to us worn out and tired of it, have to deal with it anymore, so I can definitely attest to that. I don't know how Zeal feel about it.
Right, I over here chuckling because like what comes to my mind when I think about that is, well, several things, but like unidentified burnout can lead to and come with depression. And the reason why I say it like that is sometimes burnout psychologically is heavy, you know what I mean? And it can, for those who have ever been depressed or ever had any bout of depression in any sort of way, it can feel heavy mentally, you know what I mean? It's just like, yo, what is going on? And that's outside of the physical fatigue too. And again, especially if you don't identify it as burnout, because sometimes you might just feel away,
Yeah.
and really know what really are going on.
Yeah. Jamaicans have a feeling name feel away.
Yeah, away, that feeling that has multiple meanings depending on what you're talking, the context, eh?
Yeah.
But,
definitely.
Yeah, but it's just like you feel heavy, bro. And when you check it and realize it's burnout, then it's kind of one of those things, at least for me, where you're trying to, have to like recalibrate and be like, all right, I need to apparently rest. And one of the worst cases of burnout you can have is a burnout where if you should stop right then and there, the repercussions of that going to be heavy. So you have to keep going. You can't just stop. You know what I mean? So for example, if you work a 9 to 5 or work in any sort of job where you have any obligation to meet time and engagements or whatever, stopping that can result in, if you're working for somebody, being fired, or if you have clients, it can lead to you losing clients, which means you're gonna it trouble your money.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's one of those things where I think for me, like, can understand very well, and I think over time what I have been trying to do is to plan for burnouts. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like assess my life in such a way so that I can, one, realize when it's approaching, and two, start to put things in place so that I can manage that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, and that last point you just made about planning for burnout. Well, I never really thought about it, you know. I mean, so I think sometimes we, you know, unconsciously do plan for burnout. Like, there are things we might just revert to, you know, just to keep our sanity and just so that we don't explode on anybody. You understand? For me, since the pandemic, like, I thought I knew what burnout was, but since the pandemic, I found out what burnout was. You understand? No, music is a thing that I love. You know, and all of us here are musicians. Love music. Right? However, I have been trying to stretch myself during the pandemic. You know, I was finishing up school, and then after I finished, I got a job right away, although we were online. But the church went online. And then I took up the responsibility on myself, you know, to try to learn how to edit videos and stuff, because we had to go online. And man, I was just going. At one point, I didn't realize that it was even affecting my wife, you know. It's after a while I kind of noticed a little change in behavior, because there were times when she needed my attention, but I was so busy just trying to get certain things done, and you know. And then after that, and we're coming back to some normalcy, still going. Well, it's the job that I have now. My job is more mentally draining than physical, and this job kind of just highlighted the fact that mental work for me is more strenuous than physical work. Because I remember when I used to work for a company, I'd work in the sun for hours, you know, working on pumps, fixing pumps or motors, and I never feel no way. But now I'm in the classroom working with children who, you know, they were slow before the pandemic, and the pandemic made it worse for them because a lot of them didn't get to come online. So it's like they miss almost 2 years. Some coming from primary into high school don't know what to expect, and then, you know, different things would have affected them while they were home. You know, some get involved in gangs and stuff. So they come and they show you certain behavior, certain attitude. They realize that even cognitively they are not at the level that they should be. And at the end of probably a 2 session, you feel like you're in a marathon. You're just tired. This thing has been just constant, and you know, right now, in a way, I kind of feel like I reached my limit,
Mm.
but then I know that I haven't reached my limit. You understand?
Yeah.
There is always something in the back of my head. Alright, let me not say something. I think God always just reminded me that greater is there. I can do much more than what I think I'm capable of. But it's just how you feel now, mentally and physically sometimes, the enemy try to just distract you until they say, boy, you can't make it, you can't. So how you deal with things like that, like that conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about Oti, but I think for me, what I do is I try to ensure that what I'm doing, I can grow. Oti and I and QJ, you and I also, we've had conversations where I would tell you, yo, I'm trying to study up this, or may I work on this and whatever the case is, and like you realize I have like things that I'm trying to do along along the way. And that is because my train of thinking is that, it's always good to add on to yourself and always good to add on over time. But there's another side to it too, where it's like, I sometimes adding on too much one time can feel heavy when you have to manage the responsibility of it. So case in point, you may now have learned how to edit some videos and ting. Cool. So some people, naturally, when you learn something new, you want to do as much with it as possible. Except what you don't take into consideration is how that's going to work out when the weight of your actual work conflicts with that. So it's like, cool,
Yeah.
editing videos, but I work. But now I'm set up myself in a position where I have to edit these videos and I have to work, and I have made commitments to both, and so the mental pressure. So it's kind of, I think what I try to do is try to set people's expectation heavily now. It's like, yo, can you do this? Maybe. I remember recently somebody asked me to do an event. And I said to them, I'm willing to do it, but I'm not going to be able to come no rehearsals. So if you're able to find somebody who can commit to it, please do it. Like, please reach out to them. Like, no hard feelings. I have no issues with that whatsoever. But what I can commit to is coming on the event and playing. That is it. But if you need rehearsals and stuff, link somebody else. And they're like, yo, I absolutely respect that. Cool. So it's just little things like that, just to give myself breathing room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we need that breathing room for mental stability, for lack of a better word. So that is what I do sometimes.
Just to make sure me I understand the question, QJ. Just give me a concise rephrasing of the question.
All right. So how do you deal with the bombardment of, as Zeal said a while ago, you have a regular 9 to 5 and you take up a new hobby that you're now using to benefit, for example, the church, right? For me, it was video editing and church. Also, I was the lead musician. So I had to be music, doing camera work and editing, and then have to deal with your personal life. So all of that, how you at a point of burnout, how you deal with that or get over that, get through.
Cool. Yeah, funny that is the question. It is definitely something that I'm going through, jostling with all the different things going on. And then, as you become older, And as I become older, I realize that it's 24 hours a day. Kind of fly by.
Mm.
It goes by so quickly. Especially for me, because I don't do a regular 9 to 5 job. You know what I mean? When you do a regular 9 to 5, I imagine that you get up and, or my experience when I was doing that, I know that I have to get up, leave a certain time, get to work a certain time, and go back home. And once I go home, provided I don't have to bring any work home with me, that's it. Until the next day.
Right.
Not so if you're not a regular 9 to 5 person. If you are a self-employed person, then it means I don't necessarily have any work hours. I work as long as I'm awake. Everything is put towards the goals, and that is a real source of burnout. Because I don't have a stop button, so to speak. It's just you wake up and realize your goals are met yet? No, all right, work, do something. But what I've been doing, and I need to get back on it this year, is a friend of mine actually introduced me to. He was using Google Sheets to timetable every day for the week. And so what we did for a while was that, for example, today is Monday. I would go on into the Google Sheets and I'd set all of the activities that I want to get done for Tuesday. And so I'd have a direct idea what I'm doing Tuesday, how much time I dedicate to it. So I know what time I need to get up. I'm putting in a time when it's lunchtime. When is chill time. Chill time is not long, but when it's chill time, when is dinner. Putting in time for devotion. And when just being intentional about doing that does make a whole lot of difference with all the things that are coming from all over the place, because now I can put it in a specific slot for itself and say this is what I'm dedicating time to. And if somebody give you a call and is requesting that you do something in the spur of the moment, then you can go back to your timetable and say, all right, see if we can shift this around. And so having it down on paper or physically or digitally, and being able to look at it and move things around is helpful for me.
If I can add to that scheduling thing, I think that's very important. I think being able to understand how your time's supposed to look and what you would want it to look like, I think is very important. So for example, I'm heavy on not procrastinating, because I think that adds to how you feel mentally, just in the long run. You know what I mean? When you delay something to the last minute, that pressure and that weight, even after you've gotten it done, I think it lingers for a little bit. Because usually, especially if you have multiple things that you have to do, it's never just one thing that you're late with. Like that one thing is probably the thing that you have due today, but tomorrow you have another thing that you have due, and the other day and the other day. You know what I mean? So I think managing, all right, I need to get this done by such and such time, so let me create space and time for that. That is very important. Leading to the other point, that is, I think, one, so you have two people, those who are already burnt out, or three, those who are already burnt out, those who are on the way to being burnt out, and three, the ones who are trying not to be burnt out. I think for the person who is burnt out, that they need to be able to communicate to the people or the stakeholders, if you will, that would be affected by the burnout, and let them know that, maybe not that I'm being burnt out, but I'm not able to do this in this capacity anymore, at least not in this kind of way. Based on my assessment, this is what I'm able to do at this point. really and truly, you're not giving them an option because, again, the result of it is because I've seen people that when they burn out, they shut down completely. So they just the hard stop. You know what I mean? So I think it's very important to say, this is what I am able to do. Can this work? If they say no, then I say, well, this is what I'm able to do. You know what I mean? 2, for the person who is again on the way to being burnt out, I think having a rest day or a nothing day, like that's what I call it, a nothing day where it's literally no work, you're just doing whatever you want. Any form of relaxation or anything else, that is what you do on that day. But that also means that you have to capitalize on all the other days that you have, so that day is meaningful to you. You're not stressing over the things that you don't have to get done. You know what I mean? So I think like that's something I try to incorporate, at least Sundays, part of Saturday, and even like Fridays too. You know what I mean? Just like after work, done for the day. Monday to Thursday, don't work.
Yeah,
You know?
agreed. That is definitely something to consider, because it's easier to plan to make sure you don't have burnout rather than have to, make up for the time lost due to burnout, or apologize to clients or the people that are affected. So, one of the ways to that is to deliberately set the time apart. Okay, this time, not going to do anything at this time. This time is nothing time. So even if somebody call and say, you're busy, yes, busy doing nothing. This is my
right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Because you need that time, because if you keep on giving out that time, then that's when the burnout is going to happen. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
And then the way the body works, when your body takes the time off from you by itself, it is end up making you spend longer than you would like. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes when you're there and you're not sick, and then for whatever reason the body decides, say, all right, your time for sick. Then you end up being out for a week.
Yeah.
And miss time that you never wanted to miss. So if we can schedule what I hear the let's call it the experts call it self-care. If we can schedule the self-care, and I know man don't really use the term the one name self-care. We don't necessarily mean manicure and them thing. We don't mean that.
You just take care of yourself.
Taking care of yourself, yeah.
So actually how you phrase it, right?
Yeah. He might try if he's over there trying not to use the word pamper, you know?
No, not kind of
man. But yeah, bro. I am with you on that. It's like taking that, and let's be real too. People who are burnt out are not fun people to be around at all. One, you as a burnt out, you don't want to see nobody, you don't want to talk to nobody, you don't really want to interact. You're just out of it. You know what I mean? No matter who the person is, you're just not there. And then they feel that, and them wondering, something wrong with you or something wrong with me, you know what I mean? So it's not good for, I would even go as far as to say it's also hard to even pray when you're burnt out too. Because you're just kind of repeating lines like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Because you're just out of it. It's probably the best time to be praying down, seriously. But when your mind is not healthy and it's easy to be distracted.
Yeah.
And when you're easily distracted, it's easy for you to fall too. I took a left turn there, but that is just reality of how the mind works. Whenever you are burnt out, you're very vulnerable.
Yes.
You're very vulnerable. So it's very important too.
Yeah, and let us, I think we alluded to it, but let us zone in on the fact that some of the burnout is mental. It's not all physical.
Physical, right.
It can be mental. There can be, and probably mental burnout probably lasts longer than physical.
Yeah, physical, for sure.
And if I'm physically burnt out, I don't sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if it's mental can go on for weeks. It can
Years.
just keep going. It can just
As
keep
as
going.
he said before, it can lead to depression.
Yeah.
And
That's
depression
it.
can last a very long time. There's so much negative effects. You know?
So it is it, and I think one of the issues now that I think about is that we don't necessarily know how to diagnose these things. And that is a serious issue. Especially as men, cause we not really talk about the feelings thing. You can't you understand? It not really in our, let's call it how we've been cultured to talk about.
Yeah.
To talk about things like that.
Internalize.
Yeah, so it's like you keep it in. And so you don't have anybody who necessarily is there as a release point because you're not sharing. And so you are just adding to the mental burnout because you don't have an avenue to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the helpful things for everybody in life is to have people around who you can really talk to.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened to me a while back, it's a good thing. Somebody gave me a call and we're on the phone and she said, "How are you?" And you know, as man we get the usual, yeah man, you know, doing good. There. You know, Jamaicans have a very scripted, we have a template, you know, everything.
Yes. Yeah, man.
You know? And then after I gave the usual spiel, the cliche, she said, "Okay, now how are you really?" And I was like, Chano. You know what I mean?
I usually have about 3 or 4 more templates. My good man. You talk. You stay.
You know,
I got you. Yeah.
But I was forced to face the actual feelings and call them out and talk about them. And that's very, very important. If we are going to protect the mentals, we have to have people like that who are willing to
be vulnerable
around. Yeah.
That is real, bro. Because the picture that came into my mind, oddly enough, when you said that, you know them gym buff there where people got gym all the time, and usually when people are pump some heavy weights in them, and I'll bench press in it, usually have some people on them, and I boost them up in it. And
yes,
funny enough, like that somehow encourage them enough to be able to do one more rep or something, and the meds it. But that cheering on, that kind of, you're at your wit's end, you're at your breaking point, you really and truly cannot manage this. Physically, as it relates to weight, you can't manage it. But the fact that you have people kind of cheering you along and encouraging you somehow mentally, you're able to bypass your physical strength to access something deeper. You know what I mean? And to your point about people, that is how, like, I see the people part of it is like, yo, sometimes to be able to have somebody to have a conversation with is enough. I would even say that sometimes it's very good to be able to share that. But sometimes what it is that the world that we're in this world of work. And sometimes just to be able to have a regular conversation with somebody that not asking you for a favor, that not demanding anything of you, that they just talking to you. That makes a difference too. It's like, yo, I could have really made something else for laugh, like a genuine belly busting laugh. You know what I mean? Like them type of stuff, they them make a big difference.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that I do, you know, that help to relieve stress. One of those things is actually this podcast. You know, just able to just chill my bridging them and just talk. You understand?
I was very worried about where I was gonna go with that a while ago. Honestly, I was wondering if you'd sign up.
No comments. Leave it there. I will leave it there.
And the real reason.
The real reason, man. The real reason.
I was worried. I don't know if you see the cold sweats on my face. Like, yo, where is he going with this one? Just now.
Yes, you're safe, man. You're safe.
We're good. We're good. Yeah, but continue, bro. Yeah, man. The podcast.
Yeah, man. So, all right. So, throughout the discussion, I just noticed 3 points. Yeah. And they would seem like obvious points, but sometimes we don't even really think about them. When dealing with burnout, time management is important, right? Time management, knowing your limit, and having accountability persons in your life to help you through.
Yeah.
They have a saying, no man is an island, right? And everybody that is in your life is in your life for a reason. You understand?
Yeah.
So, for those of us who are married, our spouse is, the closest person to us, or should be the closest person to us, so we can feel safe around, can relax, talk about our day, and any little thing, you can just chat, right? And then we have friends, brethren, brothers, sisters, so we can just chill and just reason with. Because the truth is, not everybody in your life you might feel comfortable talking about everything with. And that's just reality.
There's wisdom too.
Yeah, man, that's wisdom. You understand? So, I mean, this thing is real, and one of the things that I always hear and I notice is that, especially for men, as Oti was saying, we don't really like to talk about how we feel, our feelings. We don't really like to be vulnerable, right? So these things contribute to a high level of stress and tension, because we are afraid to, careful with my words, we are afraid to just relax and just be ourselves. I was gonna say open up, but
Gotcha.
Yeah, or relax.
I got you.
Yeah.
But, okay.
I say, yeah, man.
Yeah.
So it is good for us to talk.
Yeah.
You understand? It is good for us to manage our time and know our limits. One of the two major problems I find with myself is time management and knowing my limit. You understand? And we all can identify some areas in our life where we need to work on for our betterment.
Yeah.
Right? For our peace of mind. You understand? So for me, I can say that one of my takeaways from tonight are 2 things I'll take away. Maybe if I spend more time to organize myself, so manage my time better.
Yeah.
1, and 2, to just know and accept my limits. You understand? Yeah, so
something I want to say, because there are going to be people listening and taking some of the advice, and I want to say just a general rule of thumb. I think for those who, because again, communication and having somebody to talk is very important in managing stress. And I think when opening up to people, it's very important to converse with people of your own gender, particularly.
Yeah.
especially when you on that low, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're opening up that way, because you want to. Vulnerability is a very intimate space. You know what I mean? And a lot of miscommunication and fall of great men have happened because of just
opening up.
the innocence of sharing. You know what I mean? You end up a share everything.
Yeah.
Right? End up I feel like share 50% with you. Then why? So
Whoa.
so
What a blow.
so you know, yeah, it's just very, yeah, I just want to leave that. In.
Yeah, I agree with Zeal, but I also going to add to that. I think what I'll just share from personal experience. I remember being in university, and these were those things that I woke up and realized I don't have any Christian friends. You know, and I literally prayed about it. I was like, Lord, I need Christian friends. And I always tell people that is the fastest prayer I've ever had answered. You know, literally like that. But we must also realize that the way that God, and we know this already, God makes things different. And so I've been fortunate enough, or blessed, let's say, that I have different avenues to be vulnerable in. You get what I say?
Yeah.
So it is not all one person.
Right.
The way that you can be vulnerable with your bridging them is not the same way that a female friend.
Word.
There's a level of, let's call it emotional sensitivity that your bridging not going to have. And it might sound weird to some guys, because the first time I realized that I have female friends that I could share this with, I started getting worried. I was like, no, I'm not really.
You know, really to the female side.
Yeah, you know what's happening here. Me a lot of on pink, you know.
You never hear me say no. You never hear me.
Yeah, what you say?
You just got caught in it, bro.
Well, all of on pink, so you know. But yeah, but you know, we don't have to feel like one person have to be the outlet.
Yeah.
You can have multiple outlets that tend to different needs emotionally.
True. Yeah, man. So, I mean, with that said, you know, for those who are watching or listening, you're not alone, you know, in this battle, you know, the battle to find peace and solace, you know, just as you journey throughout life, as you live your life day to day and just do what you have to do. Sometimes you might feel overwhelmed, burdened down, but just remember, managing your time well is important. You know, knowing your limit, very important, and having accountability, persons in your life, right? And you have to choose these persons wisely too, because not everybody you can share with, right? Not everybody you can share with, and not everybody has good intentions towards you. Some people selfish, you know. So we have to know ourselves. So that's been it for the Real Reazn. This episode is brought to you by
We.
Grace Kennedy.
If anybody wants to sponsor us, hey, feel free. Feel free.
Long time. Ready.
Yeah, man.
All right.
It's
So bless
until
up
next week.
yourself.
Big up, everybody.
Big up.
Big up.